school. Serious Toastmasters. The importance of being Eric, a trivial icebreaker for the serious Toastmaster.
And Concertmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, it is a well-known and well-documented fact that any club may benefit by the addition of an Eric. Wells Fargo CIC Toastmasters, my club, happens to have two. And Eric Mack, who I would hope would be here but is not today, and I are very similar. In fact, he gave his icebreaker recently, and I learned just how similar we are. I am 43, and Eric Mack is 42. Of course, that means that I was Eric first. Eric Mack has 4 children, and I have 3, which makes him the Mac Daddy. He's been married for 19 years, and I've been married for 21 years. I'll let you decide who wins on that. That's really what I want to talk about, is marriage. Because he revealed, as I have had some trouble at times in my marriage, he's also had trouble in his. And we all know just how much attention is paid in our society to the fact that it's difficult to keep a relationship together for a long time. There's a high divorce rate. And you'll hear from experts all the time on what to do about that. They'll tell us we've got to keep the marriage bed hot, keep it spicy. But you know, many marriages outlast libido. So that can't be the answer. We'll hear that you have to have common interests and a common viewpoint. But then they'll tell us that opposites attract. My wife and I do have common interests, common viewpoints, and we agree on a lot of the big things. We agree on childbearing. We agree on matters of home finance. But it's those small things. You know, and they'll say that the proverbial cap on the toothpaste is what will break up a marriage. And I do differ with my wife in that regard. I tend to be neat and tidy, and my wife is not neat and tidy. No, I think that the answer to the whole thing comes in a sense of humor. Because then those things, that untidy house, the crazy kids you've got, the creditors banging down the door. Isn't it interesting that the creditors don't have that same sense of humor? Those problems are lessened when you can bring sense of humor. I'll give you an example. Now, if you don't know me outside of a venue like this, you don't know that I tend to curse in my personal life. Kind of a lot. It's not anything that's objectionable to me, and it's not objectionable to my wife. In fact, she's kind of the one that taught me to swear. So I guess you do learn something from your spouse. But I was watching a few years ago playoff baseball, and I love my Detroit Tigers. The Tigers were on the television. My wife has no interest in sports. She's in the back bedroom. The kids are all in their rooms trying to go to sleep. And the Tigers were struggling, which means I was struggling. And my language was getting a little salty. Nothing too outrageous. Nothing that would get you too excited. So she's back there. And I'm watching TV. And at some point, suddenly, I burst into a bloody streak of obscenities. I think I might have invented a few phrases. It was not for the faint of heart. Really, if you're in that back bedroom, don't you wonder what combat this guy's in? What's happened to the fella? Have we been invaded? Has our home been invaded? I found out later that, no, she wasn't concerned about whatever death wounds I was suffering. She was concerned whether I was going to wake the children. So you might be wondering, what had happened to our hero? Well, I saw something roll away as I put my foot down, and I thought, I've stepped on one of those one of the children's toys. But no, this hurt an awful lot more than stepping on a toy. And I didn't want to put my foot back down. I looked down, and that's when I had this outburst, this vile terrorist attack, this assassination attempt, as I realized that my dear and loving wife had left her pin cushion in the area where I was pacing. Now, you would have thought that I would have noticed the thing, given the fact that the needle now protruding from my toe was probably better suited to Olympic javelin. But there I am, and I've got this thing in my foot, and I hobbled to the back bedroom to see just what kind of help am I going to get. This is where the wife's humor comes in. She took a look at my foot, or maybe it was the grimace of pain on my face. I don't know. She was looking at the foot, back to the face. She started to giggle, these paroxysms, these gales of laughter. Tears are streaming down her cheeks. And I realized after a moment, had I needed to go to the hospital or something like this, she'd have been completely useless. So I accused her of the vilest political motivations and questioned, why does somebody booby-trap their own living room? But finally, it was up to me. I pulled this shank from my mangled phalanx. And at that moment, I'm cursing about the thing. She's just laughing and laughing. There's your sense of humor, right? But when I think about it, she really was laughing at me. I didn't think it was funny. I wasn't laughing. I'm beginning to think that this whole idea wasn't even a good example for you folks. I'm beginning to wonder if humor in a marriage is even that great an idea. Well, I guess a 21-year run's not bad. Anybody know a good lawyer?